Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is talking about the medical coding career field, how it is no degree required, and how to have zero college debt to get into a new career. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Today's episode has been inspired by an Instagram message that I got, and I'm going to read the message and then I'm going to discuss my answers. So let's get started. All right. The message reads, "Hi Blue, I recently discovered your YouTube channel and I've been learning so much. I'm in high school and I'm looking to join a HIM program. HIM, if you don't know, is Health Information Management at my local college. So I have some questions that I would really appreciate if you could answer. Number 1, are the HIM programs super intense? Number 2, do you feel a lot of pressure when working with medical coding and such? Number 3, what has your experience been like from taking a HIM course in post-secondary to working in the field now? And number 4, do you recommend this career path and why?" So I will start off by talking about what HIM is first, okay? Because I think it's very important to understand what it is that you're thinking about getting into. So Health Information Management has 2 degree designations. There's the bachelor's degree, which is the Registered Health Information Administrator. This is a person that is in charge of like whole hospitals. They usually run whole departments. They do very little coding, if any. Their main function as a director is to direct and make sure that they can forecast any issues that are coming up, and they are right on top of all of the latest data that's coming out from that facility. If there's issues going on with the coding, they're going to be right on top of it as far as like directing the people who need to correct these things, to correct the mistakes and errors and things. So their function is mainly not coding. If you're going to get a bachelor's degree in health information, you're going to be looking at being a manager or an executive director. That's what that designation is for. And a lot of people will say, well, I want to be a coder. Well, I'm going to get into that. But let me discuss what the RHIT is. This is the associate's degree, and it stands for the Registered Health Information Technician. Now, both of these degree designations are offered with the American Health Information Management Association. The RHIT, or the associate's degree, is also a supervisor, but they usually act as a deputy to the RHIA. So what they do is they supervise, and they're on the ground basically working with the coders to make sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing and meeting production standards and doing a lot of education with the providers and that kind of thing. So they work in tandem with the RHIA, and that's how these whole departments are run. If you are not interested in being a supervisor, if that is not what your career path wants, what you want for your career path, and you want to be just a medical coder, which there is nothing wrong with just being a medical coder, you are going to want to take the certification route. And I will get into that once I finish discussing the answers to these questions. But I want you guys to understand what you're getting yourselves into. If you're going for the degree programs, these are your managers, these are your supervisors. I will say this also, the RHIT is going to be going through a little bit of reconstruction. And I'm going to leave a link if I don't forget. I don't think I will, because I'm going to make myself remember. There's going to be a link in the description box. Please go to this link and read the article about the RHIT and the restructuring that it is going to be doing. I was supposed to do an episode on this, but there's been a lot of things going on, so I haven't had a chance to do an episode specifically about it, but this article will answer a lot of your questions. It is going to go through a reconstruction, so I need you guys to know that. But know first that if you're going through the degree programs, they're going to look at you, these employers are going to look at you like you are trying to be in a supervisory or managerial position. Now, not all RHITs, RHIAs are in those positions. Some actually do end up being coders, but they also have to get a certification as well along with that, because for a lot of employers, even though a person has a degree, they still want them to have a certification, because coding is not the main focus of these degree programs. These degree programs have a strong concentration in leadership, in data and statistics, and the law. That is mainly what those programs are for. There is very little to not a lot of coding that is discussed, at least in the RHIA program. In the RHIT, there's a little bit more, only because, again, these are more of the supervisory, hands-on, boots on the ground type. They are the worker bee. If we are going to speak in colloquial terms, they are the worker bee. So along with the certified coders. So that is something to know. And so with the first question asking, are the HIM programs super intense? You have to know the law. You have to know leadership. You have to know statistics. You have to be able to work with numbers and things like that. Because when these supervisors and when these managers, when they're pulling data, because they're going to be able to see things that a lot of people in their position, they're going to be able to forecast, like if there's a surge in this type of procedure, or if there's a surge in this type of diagnoses, they're going to be able to report these things. So there's a lot that goes into being a manager. And not only that, you have to learn managerial skills. You have to learn leadership skills. And that's what you're going to learn in those programs. They often have externships, and they spend time in facilities around the school, and they will do their externships to get a feel of what the field is like. I had the wonderful pleasure of training one of the RHIA. He was going through the RHIA program, and he had to sit with a coder for a day, and so they picked me to sit with. And so I sat with him, and he had lots of questions. There was some things that had been explained to him that he wasn't quite understanding, like evaluation and management and how to do basic coding. And he was all ready to go on the RHIA side, but when it came to the coding, he said that they didn't really focus. That wasn't their focus of study. It was more of the managerial side. So I did work with him on that. And just because somebody has a degree doesn't mean that they are fluent in coding. Okay, when it comes to being fluent in coding, that's when you're looking at your certification designations, right? And there's two major medical coding associations. There's the American Health Information Management Association and the American Academy of Professional Coders. I will leave a link to a video that I did, quite a few videos that I've done about the certification breakdown. So I won't bore you guys with that part in this video, but I will say this. If you are wanting to be a certified medical coder, go with the certifications first before investing a lot of money into a college program. I have spoken to many, many degree holders who really wish they would have known beforehand what they were getting themselves into. There has been some that I have spoken to that have gotten their degree designations, RHIA and RHIT, and they never use it because they weren't able to get a job. If they did get a job, they didn't like it. And so they just decided to go ahead and do something else. And that's a lot of money to put into your education and not really knowing what it is. So for people that are just getting out of high school, or for people that are perhaps sort of at a transition in their lives and they want to start with a new career, I strongly recommend that you get a certification. This way you're getting in at the cheapest possible way, right? And you can still discover if you like it or not. There's 2 entry-level credentials that you can get without having to go through a program, without having to go through a trade school, and without having to get any formal training. I do have a video that I outline in months what you have to study. I talk about the books that you need in order to study. And again, the order that you're studying, it takes 12 months, which is a reasonable time period to be able to go through a program. And then at the end, you can sit for either the CCA, which is a Certified Coding Associate, and that is a designation with AHIMA, or you can sit for the CPC, and it's going to have a -A, and that is a Certified Professional Coder Apprentice, and that is with the American Academy of Professional Coders. So You can sit for either one of these, and doing independent study doesn't hurt. And a lot of times what they're going to ask you for these employers is, do you have your certification? Some will ask you if you've been through a course for anatomy, physiology, medical terminology, because they want to make sure that you know what you're doing. Not all will ask this, and sometimes they will say this is preferred. When you're looking at these job listings, preferred does not mean required. So I want you guys to know that. As somebody who was an aspiring attorney at one time, language is very huge for me. So I always look at the language of these job listings, and I've done medical coding job listings reviews. So that way I can break down to everyone like the language, because understanding what you're reading when it comes to these job listings is another thing. But I do have a video about that. Again, I'll be leaving it down in the description box below, is the entry-level job listings explained video. So with all of that said, I really do recommend that you guys, if you're just out of high school and you're wondering if you should go to college for this, guys, just start off easy. Just either study on your own. If you know you can study on your own, you can study on your own, and then take your certification when you're ready, as you've gone through those steps. And then, then you can go and try to start applying for jobs. I will say this also, which it is not here yet, but in the questions, it is difficult in the beginning to get a job. You cannot expect to get a job right away. So even if you're going through a degree program, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get a job in the health information management field. It's in coding, it's not going to mean that either. So I need you guys to know that up front. On my channel, I talk about things very bluntly, but I am a very much a realist when it comes to these things. What happens when people are out applying? And yeah, there's a lot of brand new coders out there, and they're trying to get jobs and things. If they see that the job listing is saying that we want 1 to 2 years of experience, they don't even apply. My suggestion, and the thing that helped me to get a job, was applying everywhere. You have to apply everywhere, regardless of whether they're asking for experience or not. Many times when these employers are out there putting their job listings out there, sometimes they don't have a lot of qualified candidates in the area, so they will take a chance on somebody that is brand new. But when they call you up, they may give you a assessment test right away to see if you know what you're doing. And if you haven't been studying, or if you've gone through a program that was lightning fast just to sort of get you your certification and out the door, because there are those programs out there that are like that, that they feel, the students have told me that they feel like they were only taught to pass the certification exam, and then that was it. They don't know what they're doing. And so the school tells them, well, you'll learn when you get out in the real world. Yes, you will, but you still have to know the fundamental basics of how to code when you get out in the real world. And so if you're studying, you should be able to do those things. And there's lots of resources out there. I do have a Patreon channel, and I do offer one-on-one tutoring if you need a tutor for medical coding. And I could be reached. My rates are going to be down below as well. So I'm very reasonable. But the thing is, when you are going through the process of looking for a job and you think, well, I have a degree, I should be able to get one quickly, it doesn't mean anything, guys. You have to know how to put your resume together, and you have to know that you're going to be out there knocking on a lot of doors, and you're going to be rejected a lot in the beginning. I do have a viewer who finished high school, got his certification right out of high school, and within 6 months he had his first job. But he did have to look, and he did have to apply. And I am incredibly proud of this guy, because he has done so much, and he's so young. He's already working, and he's extremely successful because he's been there for almost a year already. So that's incredible for somebody that is so young, and to be able to start off your career. He doesn't have college debt. He's already working at a really good paying field job. So that is really wonderful. but it takes a lot of grit and it takes a lot of tenacity on your part as far as like getting out there and apply, and you cannot give up. Because once you get your certification, if you decide to go the certification route, which I truly hope that you do, because I think that if you don't quite know what this field is yet, that's where you should start. I think you should start in a certification program, because certification programs, whether you're studying independently on your own, following the video that I suggest, or if you go through one of the association programs, is less than $4,000 to go online to their to the association online medical coding programs. Both AHIMA and AAPC both have their online medical coding programs, and each one of them is I mean, they're both really good. I can't recommend one over the other. I am with AHIMA, but like I said, both of them are the major medical coding associations, and both are well respected in the industry. So going either way is really not an issue. You just have to decide which one is right for you. So if you are going to go with AHIMA, they do have the CCA, which is a 2-hour exam. But don't let its size fool you. This exam is not an easy test to pass, okay? Not a lot of people pass the first time, and you can go to the AHIMA website and see the statistics on that. There were 34 people in my class. I was the only one to pass the first time. So if you study hard, you can get this. With AAPC, and with AHIMA, they do not require you to be a member of their association in order to pay to take their certification exam. AAPC does. They do require you to be a member. Their exam is 5 hours and 40 minutes. And if you fail it the first time, they do have a deal where you can retake it for free. So that is always an option in that association. So getting on to the next question. Do you feel a lot of pressure when working with medical coding and such? There are times when I do feel under the gun as far as like getting things done, but I truly enjoy what I do. So it's sort of hard to ask me because I really like what I do. I work in one of the clinics that is considered very difficult in my facility, which is orthopedics and podiatry. Nobody likes orthopedics and podiatry in my facility but me. I'm the only coder that truly does love it, because it involves organic conditions that are going on with the body, and it also involves injury coding. And for a lot of people, injury coding is that roadblock. They don't want to deal with the with the injury coding. To me, I understand it, and I can recite it, and I can talk about it backwards and forwards, so it's not an issue for me. And because of this, I really like it. But yes, there are times when it does get a little pressure filled. But for me, I can work well when it comes to some pressure. I can take some pressure. It's when I micromanage that I can't take that. There's a difference there. But when it comes to like work volume and things like that, I am able to stay ahead of the curve and be able to get all of my work completed. So that's not typically an issue. Some people may feel pressure in the beginning because of the simple fact that they're brand new and they second guess themselves. And when you're second guessing yourself in the beginning, it's going to take a lot of your time. And then that's going to trickle down to you're going to slow down on your production. So and that can make you feel pressure. But once you start to continue to study, because that is one thing about this field, is that you have to continue to study. Even when you get done with your certification or you get done with your college program, if you decide to go ahead and go that way, it's going to take continual learning. You have to continue to read. You have to continue to study, because when you're getting out in the real world, there's going to be times when a doctor or a nurse, or not a nurse, but a nurse practitioner or a PA will write something down and they will say it in a different way. That diagnosis won't be in the book, and you'll have to use your skills in order to figure out what they're saying. And if you don't have a good relationship with your provider, this becomes a problem, which is why I tell everybody that you have to be able to communicate. That is one of the hallmarks of a good medical coder, is to be able to communicate well, verbally and written, because those are both very important communication tools when you are working in this industry. Okay. The next question is, what has your experience been like taking a HIM course in post-secondary to working in the field now? This may come as a surprise to a lot of people, but I only have my certification currently. I do not have a degree currently. So you can be entirely successful in this field with just a certification. And oftentimes there is not a huge dollar difference between somebody who has a degree and somebody who has a certification. And a lot of times I've seen people who have their degrees make less than somebody who has a certification. So it really depends on where you are and what you're doing. Having a degree in this field is a little weird because it doesn't guarantee that you're going to make more money than your counterpart who has just a certification. So that is something else to consider, because at the end of the day, why are you going to get yourself in a lot of student loan debt when you can either study on your own or go to a trade school or go to online school? I recommend the online schools, either through either association. You can pick one, but I recommend going through them directly, because a lot of times with the trade schools, they may be trying to train you for something else different, and it's not relevant to this field. Okay, so if you're looking at a trade school and it is talking about something other than the American Health Information Management Association, AHIMA, or AAPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders, if they are not talking about them, I strongly suggest that you walk away. And if it is it's a cheaper program and they say that they give you a certificate for medical billing and coding, having a certificate for completing a program is completely different from having a certification through one of the certifying bodies that you need, AHIMA or AAPC. You've got to have one of these, because a certificate from a trade school that says you've been trained in medical billing and coding does not mean anything in the real world. It means that you finished a program. Now they're going to say, okay, what certification do you have? And if you can't answer that, that's going to be a problem. So I strongly recommend that you guys go through one of the associations to get your certification. But go through those first and get your certification, get out there, find your job, and decide if this is what you want to do. Because if it's not, if you get out there and you decide, wow, this is a lot more work than I thought and it's not really worth it to me, at least you saved yourself, because the degree programs, they're the cost of a car. They are the cost of a car or a down payment on a house. And if you are 18, 19 years old, just starting out, you want a career, this is a great field to get into, which is going to round me out to my last question, which is, do you recommend this career path and why? I do recommend this career path, but I will say this, it is not for everyone. You have to read. You have to like to read. You have to like to communicate. And if you are brand new, just out of high school, and you want a career, or if you are older and you want a new career, this is a great career field to get into if you like to study. If you're a studious person, you like to read and those kinds of things, this is for you. But if you don't like to read, you want to do something easy, this is not an easy field. This is an intellectual field for intellectual people. And if that's not you, there's plenty of other trades out there. But this career field is very fulfilling. And if I would have known about it right out of high school, you bet your boots I would have been doing this right out of high school. But to me, I've been in it for just over 10 years and I really love it. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And you know the expression, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life? 400 videos ago, because my channel has over 400 videos now. I started saying that 400 or plus videos ago. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I'm there. I work 40 hours a week. Then I come home and I film these videos for you guys to talk about medical coding. And I answer your questions. And I have my Patreon channel that I do medical coding exercises on. And I do tutoring. If you want to do this, then by all means, go for it. But don't announce what you're doing, because a lot of times people will have their own agendas for telling you why you should or you shouldn't. If this is something that you want to do your research. Do your research and go for it, full force, because that's all you can do. If you're going to jump into something, do it. But you can't just sit there and be like, well, I'm scared. This is a very good field, but you can't be scared to get in it. because there's going to be a lot more scarier things as you go along, but you're going to be able to grow from those scary experiences, right? Like getting up in front of providers. But then when you're going to have those great moments of you have partnered with a provider, you've done well for your clinic is receiving all the credit that they are entitled to, and the records are being coded accurately, that at the end of the day is where your sense of work pride comes in. And that is amazing, because there's a lot of people that don't enjoy what they do. And you could be one of those people who really enjoys what you do. But you have to do your research and make a decision. So I hope this helped you. If you are out there, best of luck in your journey. I'm going to have lots of career talk this week, so I hope you'll be joining me on my channel this week at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to wrap this one up. So if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider, or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye!